Hey guys, what's going on? I'm back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about Dangerous Liaisons. Dangerous Liaisons is a French romantic drama adapted from the novel of the same name, and tells the story of Selene, a young Parisian high school student who moves to Biarritz to finish her senior year. It's not long after moving there that she meets a young man named Tristan, who also happens to go to the same school that she'll be. Despite being in a committed relationship, she ends up becoming more and more attracted to him, but unbeknownst to her, she's part of a cruel bet that's been established between Tristan and his fake girlfriend Vanessa, which will come to transform Selene's life as she works toward her goals. I've never read or seen any version of the story it's based on, so I might be missing some much needed context, which would explain why I hated this movie so much. It's yet another bog-standard high school love story, made worse by its terrible characters, nonsensical story, and total lack of entertainment value. Selene by herself is okay, although pretty unremarkable. She at least has some degree of backstory behind her that makes her more interesting than other characters, though it's not explored to its full potential, such as with her deceased mother. Despite supposedly playing an impact on her, she's only referenced a small handful of times and is only seen in pictures. There's a lack of emotional connection with her character that makes it hard to sympathize with her beyond a general sense. I also found it weird with how unfamiliar she was with basic social media terms for a girl her age, almost like she was sheltered for her entire high school life beforehand. It just wasn't convincing with how her character was portrayed. Selene, however, is the least of this movie's problems. Her love interest Tristan is an awful character right from the start, which is supposed to be intentional as it leads toward a redemption arc, but the way this redemption is achieved is wholly undeserved. On top of being a generic surfer dude, his fake attraction towards Selene as part of the bet makes him consistently unlikable throughout the story, on top of him acting like a dick to just about every other character in the movie. His transformation toward being a more empathetic and kinder person made no sense, because there was no flow of events or any sort of epiphany that he could have learned from. This leaves the relationship between the two characters falling completely flat. It starts playing out in the most formulaic way possible, with one character playing hard to get with the other, before taking a nosedive halfway through the movie and going way off the rails. The romance felt very confused and messy in its depiction. Tristan is supposed to fake being attracted, but actually is, while Selene isn't attracted at first due to her being in a relationship already, but switches gears out of nowhere. I could never get a solid grasp of what either character truly wanted from each other. It doesn't help that Selene's boyfriend Pierre barely appears in the movie at all. The only time he shows up is when the movie conveniently calls for a dramatic moment to shake up the story. His lack of presence in Selene's life made it hard for me to believe her as someone who's supposed to be faithful and committed, especially once the switch eventually occurs. This switch, as I like to call it, was what killed any enjoyment I had left for this movie. At approximately halfway through the story, there's a big party thrown by the main villain, and there's a moment during it that abruptly shifts the pace that Selene and Tristan's bond was going, as well as completely changing the tone of everything surrounding it. Selene and Tristan's relationship stopped making sense to me at that point. The reasoning behind Selene's sudden sexual attraction is illogical, as it was absent beforehand, and it's now based on an experience that she's never had before. I just couldn't bring myself to care about anything romantic after the switch took place. The main character's relationship isn't the only thing affected by the switch though. Pretty much every character is turned upside down because of it, and that's if they were even likable in the first place, the worst of which is Selene's cousin Charlotte. She has no redeeming factors, purely existing as bad comic relief to annoy the viewer with. God, she was insufferable. The movie goes through high school tropes with its characters like it's going down a checklist. There's a gay best friend, the bestie slash henchwomen of the popular girl, the cool teacher trying to fit in with the kids, and the chauvinistic jockeys who mock others. The movie can't even muster the slightest degree of inspiration without resorting to cliches. This leads me to talk about the main villain Vanessa, the woman behind the whole betting game of the movie. And for someone who's supposed to be diabolical, there's not a lot of menace behind her. Her games feel more childish in how they're executed, as opposed to being dangerous as the title suggests. She barely feels connected to anything relating to the story, even after the switch takes place. Her subplot with Selene never really takes off, and even when she secretly records people taking part in scandalous behavior and blackmails them, I couldn't bring myself to care about any of it. In fairness, some of this might have to do with my lack of interest in social media, which is spread across every fiber of this movie's being. The amount of references to influencer culture and Instagram are excessive to a point that they become alienating, which makes it hard for me to relate to the drama that everyone goes through. This is made even worse with how the movie is edited, which I was surprised ended up being an issue. The movie frequently makes random cutaway edits with Instagram stories and pictures that are patched together with little rhyme or reason, and only serve to further distract from the story with their spastic presentation. All of this hype on social media is supposed to promote a musical that the students are working on together, but none of them feel interested in it. The rehearsals and preparations are mostly used as a bad excuse for more lame comic dialogue to come out of the characters' mouths, which is a shame because the actual musical, when it's finally done, is fun to see, even if the audience's reactions to the drama on stage is is a little weird. The movie has a big problem when it comes to tonal shifts. It constantly goes between melodramatic conversations between Selene and Tristan or other pairs, and then them making cringeworthy jokes that border on being creepy. It can't decide between one tone or the other, which made it annoying to sit through. Honestly, I don't think the tonal shifts would have been as bad if it weren't for the character's obsession with sex. Even though there isn't really any nudity, characters frequently hook up and have sex to a point where it gets obnoxious. The entire worth of every relationship in the movie is based on physical attraction, and never resembles anything like love. The only positive thing I can think of to say about this movie is that the Biarritz location and scenery is appealing to look at. The coastal setting where this movie takes place creates a more laid-back atmosphere that provides a nice break from the inane high school drama, though these breaks are few and far between. Once it's all said and done, the movie ends with a weak message about promoting love and acceptance over glory and fame, which I found odd in Selene's case because she kind of already knew that in the beginning of the movie due to her initial lack of social media and commitment to Pierre. So it's like, what was the point? Seriously, I can't think of any reason why this movie should exist as it is. It could have gone much deeper regarding the dangers of social media and how they can affect others, and its potential is wasted. It all ends up being superficial, just like the characters who engage in it. Overall, Dangerous Liaisons is a boring, lazily executed waste of time that has nothing new to offer in its genres, which isn't surprising considering it being yet another adaptation of the same story. Even if you like trashy romantic dramas set in a high school backdrop, just do yourself a favor and skip this one. There is nothing of value to be found in it, especially if you're a fan of previous adaptations. It's as if the filmmakers had no idea what teenagers were actually like when making it, and this becomes more evident the longer this movie goes on. The bad romance, dull characters, annoying tonal shifts, and grating use of social media and themes make it a chore to sit through from beginning to end. What did you think about this movie? Did you hate it as much as I did, or were you able to find some redeeming factors in it? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of Dangerous Liaisons. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the South African drama, Jewel. Bye bye!